Welcome to
Block.
Triple Blockheads,
Back set. Block down.
the podcast for all things volleyball.
Aloha and welcome to another episode of Triple Blockheads. Makani here, Frank, Marc, and we're going to have a little bit of fun, fellas. This could get wild. This could be a little weird. I don't know. We'll see what kind of ideas we have. We really don't know what the ideas that each of us came up with, but we're going to propose volley rule changes. These could be like an addendum to a current rule. It could be just a removal of a rule, or it could just be something that we believe is so wild that it actually could make the game a little bit better. So we're gonna round robin this thing and see how much time we can get through, and see what's viable, what's not. But who wants to start?
I will.
Oh, boom.
Ready. Okay. My first rule change. Get rid of the let serve. We're throwing it back. We are the only net sport that allows the ball to hit the net on the first initiation of a contact. Badminton, tennis, table tennis. I'm sure there's other net sports I don't know.
Other isses.
But yeah, other isses. But every single one of them, you can't hit the top of the tape and have it go over. When I first started coaching, I was a high school student, and I believe the rule got changed like a few years prior to me being in high school. Not to date myself or age myself there, but the high school coach that I worked with, Shelby Tracy, anytime one would happen in practice, a let serve would go over, he'd be like, how'd you like to lose the state championship on that? Because that happened. The first time, as soon as the rule changed, they were in the state championship, and ball trickles over the net, match point, and they lose the state championship on that serve. And I'm like, I've gone back and forth. I was like, it doesn't really affect. It doesn't happen that much. My issues are probably threefold. One, it's hard to train to like get practice at passing that ball. Two, your conversion rate is less than 5% on let serves that you'll win that point. So you're at a crazy, crazy disadvantage from the start. Three, it's not a skill, right? It's not something that you can train yourself to consistently hit the top of the tape to do it. And if it's just by chance, then we could get rid of it and it would affect the game. None. You know what I mean? So that's my first pitch.
I completely endorse this. I had this on my list. I had this on my list. I'm like, the let serve, like, what are we doing? Or, I mean, it's one of those things where something happens and it's like, all right, next ball. Like, all right, well, there's literally no skill. There was no completion of a skill that created the point that the other team was just at a disadvantage from something that was completely happenstance, right? I would be okay with it being a tennis rule. Hey,
reserve.
A let serve, like reserve, if that's the case. But I'm old school. I will back in the old days. I'm not proposing this change, but side out scoring, where again, like if any net let serve back to the other team. So either way, I'm good. Maybe transitioning it into a let reserve, one chance reserve.
Yeah, you have first serve, second serve type of
correct
tennis situation there.
Yeah,
I'm very pro for if you serve it in the net, point for the other team and you lose. Like no excuse for that.
Totally agree.
So like in same as tennis, right?
Yeah.
In that same way.
Well, I love when I score off of it, and I hate when it happens to me.
So are you internally torn?
It's a wide range of emotions. I feel like it would really slow the game down. Like they hit the net, you gotta stop, roll the ball back to her, and then we're serving again.
But it's exactly what happens.
It's just awkward. There's just like awkward.
The ball tips the tape and goes down, and then we blow the whistle, stop, roll the ball back to her, and she serves again. It's the same thing.
It's just awkward. We need if we can get like a ball boy on the corner. So maybe that's part of the line judge's role now is to have a second ball that they can throw to that person and they serve right away.
So they give them two and they're going to bounce one. I'm like, I'm going to throw this one back.
Yeah. and they actually have to like Wimbledon it and like run on the court and grab the ball and run right back.
Yes.
This is a separate rule change that I'm totally in favor for, and it's tennis-style ball shaggers on the court.
I'm
Like,
totally good with
Yes.
adding that into the reffing responsibilities.
absolutely. If you are a game manager or a ball shagger person that hands balls, I want like tucked in shirts, cargo shorts,
3-point stance.
polos, yeah, ready to sprint on and go pick up a ball.
That is so funny.
I think they should start that in your gym and see if that creates the
I'm
movement.
gonna have to talk to Marty. He runs our game helpers program, but I'm gonna give him some film to watch and
I love that.
That's
try and implement with our little girls. That's so funny.
great. All right, Frank, you're up.
All right, so I'm the kid that when I grew up and I played video games, I only played sports games. I only played anything that had franchise mode. I wanted to run a franchise, be a GM, draft players, trade players, and be the scouting genius of draft classes. So my rule change was let's bring that into club volleyball and college volleyball. Let's have a trade deadline, trade players, make families relocate from city to city.
I was good. The geographical aspect of this is like where I was thinking, and then you're like, "Yeah, make a move. It's fine.
Yeah, we're
New
doing it.
jobs. It's
Check.
good."
Answered that question.
It's gonna be a salary cap. We're gonna do draft classes. So maybe after 12U, they start getting drafted.
So
I don't know.
area.
So maybe
region,
for-
like how do they?
Yeah.
I don't hate this idea, and I want to like vet it a little bit.
Okay,
further.
so like if we're being like realistic about it, you can't make people move, but maybe you do like if you're in this proximity of the facility, 50, 75 miles, you're eligible to get drafted by a club. And then maybe instead of recruiting for colleges, there's just a national draft every year. So if you finish last in NCAA RPI 3 million, you get the first pick in the draft, and you get to draft this stud out of Texas.
So then you have your little your salary cap. So is every player graded, and then you're like, all right, if I get so and so is the top setter and she's a grade 99, you add all your things up, you have to stay below.
Stay under a
below
salary cap, yeah.
1,000 points or whatever it might be.
For sure.
Huh.
I think this could be directly implemented into the transfer portal right now, as is, because I've definitely had conversations with other coaches. I'm talking to them about a kid that's in the portal, and they're talking to me about one of our kids that's in a portal. And we're like, man, it'd be cool if we could just like
Swapsies?
trade. Can we make that happen?
Throw a little draft pick in there.
Yeah. I'll throw you a water machine as a bonus.
Did you ever hear about any of the
a cooler?
I was gonna say, you ever heard about any of the old sports stories?
Getting traded for a Powerade
Yeah.
machine or a new washer.
Dude, I
stuff
could
like
use
that.
another
Absolutely.
Coke machine in the gym.
What do you Jackie Moon?
So yeah, let's bring some fantasy sports to club and college.
I love it.
Probably not great. I should.
Probably not.
Not gonna happen.
possible,
I mean,
but
probably.
But I love
yeah.
I love your creativity.
If there was some sort of way to even have a salary cap initiative where this money came out of nowhere and then you could start paying, club players, you could then start that conversation of you can justify doing it.
Well, you have club scholarships you can give. So let's say there's 10 clubs in this region, right? 150 mile an hour space. You each get 2 draft picks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In that, and then anybody in that 150 has to come to you, but
There would
doing
need-
it,
there would
they're
need-
doing it at a club scholarship.
There would need to be some mega gazillionaire who bought all the clubs and said, here's each your salary cap. We're going to do a draft. And we'll have a free agency period. And I mean, we already have free agency period pretty much in club volleyball, but you decide 2-year contracts, 3-year contracts, team option or a player option.
I mean, it would be interesting if you had the ability to have commitments that are longer than a year.
That
right?
would be
And then if
interesting.
you had those commitments, then you could say, hey, you could negotiate out of those things or whatever it might be.
A buyout clause.
It would be interesting. Yeah.
No trade.
All I'm hearing
Some players
through
have no
this-
trade clauses.
All I'm hearing through this is lawyers are about to make so much money in this new model. It's like everybody's going to be an agent.
You have to enter yourself into the draft to be eligible. You're signing up for this. But when I played Parks and Rec basketball, we had a draft. We had to go try out, and the coaches drafted players.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never played an organized sport that was drafted like that.
Yeah,
Aside
I mean-
from like PE, when
Also,
you
like
pick
6th grade
teams.
PE, kickball.
No, like
Yeah.
my park when I went to play like park basketball for the city of Los Angeles. All these kids tried out. You had like an individual tryout. All the coaches were there grading, and then they had a draft.
Huh. It's
They
like,
draft their teams.
the
What
captain's
round
pick.
did you go in?
I have no idea. I don't think they let that stuff out, but I was probably like, at least late first rounder,
Feel good about that?
or I was
Dominated that
I was a
league?
steal in the second round, probably.
Somebody moved up. Somebody moved up to get
Traded
you,
up,
though.
yeah.
Somebody moved up for
Traded
sure.
up.
Maybe, yeah.
He gave another coach his old car for this pick.
I'm gonna give you this
good
brand
way
new
to-
basketball for this pick.
Win this YMCA league. How old were you at that?
That was probably like middle school.
Wow.
That's old for a draft. All right.
I
Yeah.
like it.
There we go.
All right. I have one on court change. Move the antennas to the pole standard. So instead of having the antenna on the sidelines, move the antennas to the pole standards to create more offensive room widthwise along the net. Creates different angles. It creates different types of plays you can run. It also ensures that your blockers aren't bunched as much.
Basically,
Correct.
widening the attack area by 2.5 feet, 3 feet ish.
But not the actual
along
play
the net.
area.
Right. So court size stayed the same. Now we're into like a ping pong space where I can attack
Correct.
outside and back at the edge of the line.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that.
Interesting.
But you would need brand new net systems, right? Because you can't just put it on the pole. You break a leg every time you jump.
What?
Land the pole.
Details, Frank.
So every gym now has to get
Yeah,
a
right,
brand
yeah,
new
right.
system.
Sure. Right. Right.
Well,
Cut
how do
new
you-
holes?
How do you?
No, I
You
mean
want
like
it close to the pole, but yeah, there is a safety issue
sure. Yeah.
with this.
So maybe it's like moving
implication.
it out a foot. I guess
Just
the point is
wider.
just wider and not on the sideline. So just to give a little bit more angle to create that offensive.
Yeah, I think
attack.
gameplay wise, I think you're going to see a lot more one-on-ones, obviously.
Yup.
Or splits.
More cool digs.
Less triples.
Less digs, but probably more cool digs. Like exciting digs. More
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one digs,
Or-
Probably see more kids bouncing the ball.
Or bounced balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're I mean, if you,
Definitely going to have to teach hitting line more.
well, not really though, because if you wrap the ball line, you're going to be outside the court.
Yeah.
So your Lango ball will be your line ball.
Oh, yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah.
setting it to the pin.
Oh,
But
yeah,
then-
if you're out there more, yeah.
correct. So to get the ball to go true line, you're actually setting the ball inside, like
Mm-hmm.
a rip or something like that to get high and inside.
I think it would allow for a lot of kind of fun flexibility with approach angles. You could do
Mm-hmm.
some super wide angle approach stuff and then high wrists back down the line, or go super sharp inside like 5-6 feet. That could be kind of fun.
Yeah, it would also increase from a serving, like you can those balls that are coming and whipping right to left or left to right, like you're coming outside the court without hitting the antenna
yeah.
and coming back into the court.
That was my sand serve, was a spin serve that cut left to right, and I would always go outside the court and try and bring it back to the corner because they will not move and then let it go. So I could be on board with some of these. That could be fun.
That could be fun.
What levels?
Yes,
All of them?
all of them. Yeah.
You 12s trying to play
Well,
on
but
that
it-
big size court.
Well, but I mean, at 12s, it would eliminate some of those, allow some of those kids to get the ball back in play without having the antenna right on the sideline too. Maybe it saves a couple of plays. Maybe the rally lasts a little bit longer because
I think kids will get aced more.
probably true. Can that happen? At 12?
At 12? Can you get aced more?
Yeah. For sure.
That's true. That's true.
Wider space.
But it's not, the playing surface is not. So how will it lead to more?
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That's a
Like
fair
the court
point.
size is the same. It's what your ability to manipulate space
I
becomes
see.
a little
So
bit
you're
different.
not changing the sidelines.
Sideline is exactly the same. I'm just opening the door, a wider door
Okay.
to get over the net.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe serve pass game would be pretty similar. But outside like the angles coming in.
So then it's just offensive creativity, essentially, is all we're adding.
And
And some serving creativity.
a little more difficulty from a blocking perspective, right?
That's
'Cause
true.
You're
yeah.
a
Further
wider.
distance.
Yeah.
Further distance is for everybody to move, which, yeah, blocking's hard enough.
You definitely wouldn't train. Would you train blocking as much, or would you just train more digging? You'd definitely train more offense and train more digging.
I would train more hand angle block stuff.
Yeah.
Like
One-on-ones.
how do I get block touches more than stuff blocks? Those probably become paramount, right? I'm probably taking a lot of, as a middle, taking it off 1 foot a lot, making that X2 move. So I imagine it would change from, like, you would see everybody's blocks per set drop, but the good teams would have a really high touch percentage. I would think.
Yeah, agreed. All right, cool.
Really cool.
Fun. Okay. My next one. So a couple weekends ago was at a Love event. They had a tournament and went and watched it and was enjoying the experience. And then all of a sudden, like light by the court started to go off and they were like, super point. And I was like, whoa, what's a super point?
I'm intrigued.
Right?
Say
It's like,
more.
Indeed. So what a super point is, or how they've been using it in this pro league, is one time a set, a coach at any point before 21 in the set can press this button that lights up the thing, and that point is worth 2.
That's like the hammer in the TGL league.
It is, which I am a huge fan of the TGL league.
Shout out to TGL.
It's a towel though, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's not.
they call it the
They
hammer.
gotta make that a hammer.
It's a
dude.
towel.
Anyways,
But yeah, same concept. So this is worth 2, except there isn't a situation where somebody isn't getting 2 points there.
Right.
So you play the point, whoever wins gets 2 points. So you could use it and lose it, and you know what I mean? So I think the strategy of when to throw it, that's what became interesting to me. Like, you're probably doing some kind of rotation analysis, seeing like if I'm receiving, maybe it's their middle serving and we know she's not a great defender, and the chances of me winning this rotation, or I have won this rotation at 75%, that might be worth looking for an opportunity to throw a super point out there and play your odds in your good rotation versus their bad rotation or something like that. I just thought about the strategy piece behind it. I think can be interesting if you have the information to back it up. I like that you can't do it post 21 points.
I was going to say, because they're 23 all, you could throw it down.
23 all, throw it, and then win the match.
serve off the top of the net.
Exactly. Well, we can't do that anymore either.
Took
so
that
you
out.
definitely lose that point. But I thought it was a neat kind of differentiator, and I think it probably only works in professional volleyball setting. I don't think collegiate would be super receptive to just adding this arbitrary fund mechanism in. But I liked it for the pro leagues, and I'm here for more of those types of opportunities.
Yeah.
When were people using it when you watched?
Pretty random, but it was generally in that 15 to 20 space.
Yeah.
And one that I thought was a good time was like right after this big long rally that they ended up winning.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a distinct momentum shift that just occurred. It put them up to like 16-14 or something like that. Suddenly, if you win, now it's 18-14, and this set is almost
Big
out
swing.
of reach. And the converse would be it's tied now. So not a lot to gain, not as much to lose.
Yeah.
I think those types of situations you can really break open a match.
Was there a fifth set? How does that work for those guys then?
I don't know how
Yeah.
the super points.
I'm
get
assuming
allotted in
it'd
the
be
fifth
early
set.
if they did it or something.
I'm sure that the cap changes. Yeah. It's probably 11.
Would you use it more when you were receiving or serving, you think?
The statistics say you should use it when you're receiving.
Right.
I saw it go both.
Okay.
Like one server, you have a server that gets on a bit of a heater. You have Micah Hancock or something.
Sure.
She gets a couple. I might throw it then because she's in a good rhythm serving. She's going to go rip this ball. They're going to be out of system, and I feel good about our ability to defend and win that point.
Yeah.
But I think if it was me, it's probably happening in the serve receive side, and I'm probably doing it to match up a bad row versus a good row.
It'd be interesting to see in that play if you pulled all of those 2-point plays and you watch them all back to back and you watch the same amount of plays, not in the non 2-point plays. Did you see a difference in some of the, like, hey, this is a 2-point play. Like, I need a, you know what I mean? Like, just,
Yes, and in my experience, no.
I didn't think so.
Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel different except for there's a big thing
Sure,
that
yeah.
says this is a super point and all that stuff. But yeah, I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
It's not like the intensity really picked up, but it did add like, ooh, this is like a special point in the way that when a set gets to 22 all or those last 3-4 points, like those feel different.
Yeah.
It brought that kind of feeling, but the play didn't necessarily make that same adjustment.
Got it. I like
It's
it.
a good name for it.
Super point.
Point. That's good. Well, after I am done acquiring 20 first-round draft picks, I am going to propose that during gameplay, during club, college, maybe even pro, that there's some sort of like, kind of like hockey, there's some sort of power play that happens where you do something and now one of your players has to leave the court for a play, so it becomes 5-on-6. Or maybe it's like 2 points, or maybe certain things have a number of points that you're off the court for. Maybe you serve the ball in the net and you have to sit out. You have to play with 5 people for 2 points. And then your next server serves in the net. All of a sudden you're playing 6-on-4.
Do you get to choose which player goes off?
I think it's kind of like hockey. If you get in a fight, you're the one that's out.
Okay. So if you're in
Get
the net,
penalty or whatever.
Yeah, if you get the penalty,
Yeah.
you're the one that's off. So like maybe your setter serves in the net and you have to play without a setter, 5-on-6. But it would definitely on the fly change how you block. It would change how you play defense.
Yeah, there'd be a lot of adjustments.
Change how you set out real
Immediate.
quick.
Your
Yeah.
coaching becomes more important in that.
Well-rounded
I'm
volleyball
kind of-
players
kind of
becomes
into it.
important. Yeah.
True. Yeah, more versatile. I would, instead of a like point or 2 point, it's like this half rotation, like until we get the ball.
Oh,
back.
until you
Yeah.
ball back. Yeah. That'd
So
be cool
it could
too.
really turn into, this could be a 5 or 6 point run if it's a setter that is out now or whatever. Like,
if you did on infractions only instead of errors, I think it would create more like power play instances instead of it, because plays end on some level of an error.
Yeah, I just think
most
like
of the time.
obvious things like server in the net or
Net violation,
net violation,
illegal,
foot fault for some reason.
some level of
Same
illegal
reason to serve,
contact.
Yeah.
how do the bros get taken out? Like they need to have a detrimental thing. They're not going to touch the net, so
If they use their hands in front of the 10. No, I mean that's so hard.
yeah.
They get aced off.
You have one job.
You have one job.
You get dumped on or something. I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah, power plays.
Power plays. Okay. All right. So you brought up Libero. I'll go to this one. I would move the 10-foot line to the 12-foot line, and I would let the Libero set overhead anywhere.
Come on, man. The game just
Those
started. The game just started getting fun with the Bic. You're gonna ruin it.
Well,
Those are two different rules. We're going
I'm
one
going-
rule at a time.
I am going
one rule.
combined because, and the reason because then if you move that 12 feet, then there's much less room for them to go and use their hands. And I think, and the reason why I said 10 to 12, I don't think it'd really make that big of a difference from people setting it. I don't think it wouldn't discourage anyone from using that because people are jumping from the 10-foot line and contacting at 6 feet.
Yeah.
Right. I
Who are these people?
people in your gym probably. I'm just
Yeah, but that's like a very small number. Like
Yeah.
if we're talking about moving it to what are the benefits of moving it to
Yeah.
12 feet? What's the goal
I
by moving the 10-foot line to 12 feet?
I think the amount I think the amount of balls that are going to the back row, I think it would allow maybe a little bit of advantage, especially those that are in like lower, not as high athletes. I mean, you're going to be able to set the ball for the front row a little bit more. I think from a blocking perspective, when you do set the back row, you have a little bit more time to react. And I think there maybe creates a little bit more rallies in that situation, so that 10-foot big ball is not, and then maybe more on the men's side than the women's side. But I just think it creates a little bit more. That 2 feet creates a little bit more time to then defend that a little bit more. And the second part, that the libero overhead setting, I think allows a setter to take a ball and still have some level of in-system play from that libero setting somebody overhead.
The second that you allow a libero to set from anywhere on the court, I'm making my setter the libero. And then she's setting from the back row every single ball because she never has to come off the court. I get to keep my hitters in all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you're really changing the role of that libero. It's not a libero anymore. I'm not going to use it as a libero. I'm going to use it as a setter. And I'm going to have my biggest blockers up there, and I can keep them up there the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, it changes a lot to the role of that libero if you allow them to set.
That's true. I mean, and again,
okay with that?
Well, I mean, maybe it's one of the things. Well, they wouldn't be able to attack, so you take the second contact out.
Well, I mean, they can set over.
They could set over. You're right.
That's a pretty ambiguous call. That back row set.
Maybe
that
they cannot
jumps and is
maybe
around the top of the tape. And
maybe they can't play right back. They can never play right back.
Middle up defense?
What really is right back?
Yeah. Who defines right back is, man?
He's right back there. All right, I think we got one more round in us.
I think we move the 10. This is not my rule, but let's put the 10-foot line on the 8-foot line. Let's hit more bigs.
Or just take it out altogether.
Or just play 9-man volleyball.
We're getting a little wild.
All right, it's Marc's turn.
I could get on board with the 10-foot line to the 8-foot line, especially if we were talking about 16 and under.
Yeah, can you imagine little 12-year-olds
Like,
coming in on the big,
hitting out of the back row a little bit easier at a younger age? I'm like kind of game for that, and we can kind of back it up. And I would say maybe move the men's back to 12 feet because they are the ones really being terminal on that bick. I think the women's game is not quite to that point. Typically, at the Division I on the women's side, if you're hitting 150 out of your back row attacks, you're doing pretty well. And that's still low.
Yeah.
Compared to on the men's side, where they're hitting 330, 350 pretty consistently out of the back row.
The amount of sets going to the back row in the men's side is exponentially more than the women's side.
And
successful.
And I'm sure those factor into why those numbers are different, right? If you have a team or a situation like a Pitt this year, where they just could rip out of the back row differently, their usage percentage goes way up because they have a person that can do it. Yeah. Whereas generally the national trend is it's not as popular because we don't have people that can just absolutely be that terminal with it. But I'm here for it. I like the idea. But if you allow that bro to set, you're opening can of worms, and you're going to see a lot of weird stuff coming.
Weird stuff.
Okay. My third here, I'm going to go international sub limits. So 6 subs. Let's get rid of this 15 or 12 or whatever it is in club and high school. I don't know.
12 for club. I'm not sure what it is for high school.
Okay. Well,
and NAI doesn't have any.
And then, NAI, there are no rules.
That's crazy. What is it for Division I?
15.
15, okay.
15 set. So I'm down for a 6 sub method. I think it forces players to become more well-rounded. It rewards not necessarily the most amazing athletes, but the best all-around players. And I think there's a little bit of a disconnect when you get to international level or like who makes the national team. I think the debate I hear is always about the outsides in that position because there are definitely bigger, more physical kids than who we have in the national team on the outside. But that 6-row element is so important. They're going to get vaulted over maybe the 6'8", kid that can't pass. You know what I mean? So I think it promotes being better at volleyball rather than being a great athlete. So I'm on board with that.
I think clubs should do this tomorrow. 6 subs for sure.
What about the financial implications of limiting the subs? Are you still going to have a roster?
What
of
about
12
playing
people?
time?
Don't talk about my club, dude. We do small rosters.
I'm talking about everybody. You're speaking for club as a whole.
I did not choose to be the representative of all of the clubs. Let me call John's. Who's the commissioner now? John Sprawl? Shoot him a ring. Yeah, obviously, yeah. Make more teams then. You still bring the same number of kids in, just make more teams.
Who's going to coach these teams, Frank?
I don't have an answer for you.
Details. Details.
Figure it out later.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you.
I like the emphasis on being a well-rounded player. I do. I think it's important to just understand that it's not just specifying in one thing. Like you see the entire game. You can do the plethora of skill sets that are required, and I think it's a better product. I think when you have a player who is moving around and doing all the things, I think you can connect to that player a little bit more as well. I think it's easier to watch.
I hear that from a fandom perspective. You can definitely pick out who your favorite is when you see their whole game a little bit differently. I'm on board with that for sure. The other one that I was just thinking about, and now I blank. Like as I was commenting, I was like, it's fading. It's fading.
My coach suggestion would be, going back to the club thing, is if you have a smaller roster, do you need assistant coaches? If you have a team of 8, do you need assistants still, you think, at a tournament?
I mean,
Who's going to carry the balls?
yeah. Who's going to R2 when I don't want to? Short answer, no, but
No.
yes. Like,
I don't know.
Ask every club head coach if they want an assistant. They're all going to say yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
But do you need one? No, I've coached club teams by myself.
I mean, 6 subs,
Yeah.
8 players. What are you really managing? That you need an assistant for, you know? You might not have enough kids.
stats.
You might not have enough kids to ref.
That is a problem.
But that's where you can maybe find a couple extra coaches. Is now some of your assistants can take some head coaching duties, and you don't have to worry about them managing a whole lot of players. And have 6 subs, everything's pretty predetermined. Now you're just trying to become a better trainer.
Just bring refs as a rep provided by the club.
Yeah. Now
Now you just bring R2s.
yeah. Instead of team moms, we need team R2s.
I don't hate that either. All right.
Yeah.
Totally forgot what my last point was.
What you got, Frank?
Can't come back.
Oh, my last one. So not as creative as some of the ones that we've had, but instead of the tiebreaker set, so the 3rd set for club or the 5th set for a college or high school match is, let's completely change the scoring back to side-out scoring. So you play rally scoring for the 1st and 2nd set, and club, if you're playing a 3rd set, now you're only going to score points when you serve. And maybe you play to like 7 instead or 8.
That would be my question, is the length of that.
Yeah, because that could get crazy.
Yeah, and from a viewership perspective, like the uncertainty of length can be an
Which is why you definitely shouldn't do it for the other sets.
But it reminds me a little bit of what AVP has been doing.
Yeah.
Which, like, I think their last 2 points had
to be consecutive.
Side out.
You have to
Be side out serving.
Yeah.
Like they go to a side out on the last one, I believe. I don't watch a ton of beach, but I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I think some sort of score change in the tiebreaker set would be interesting.
agree.
Put more stakes on it.
Or when it gets above 10 in the 5th.
Yeah.
To close out, you have to whatever. Yeah,
make a bigger emphasis for trying to avoid tiebreaker sets and try to close matches out, and then make things interesting when you get to tiebreaker sets.
Who's out here not trying to win in 4? Like, where's that? I don't know if you need this deterrent from wanting to go to a 5th set. Like, we have bigger issues.
That's true. That's fair.
If they want like a ping pong, isn't the ping pong rules? You have to serve to win, right? Is that a rule in ping pong, or is that?
Or you can't serve to win. You have to receive to win.
I can't remember one of the two.
I don't know.
I only know-
We're not great at rules.
No, not really.
I only know beer pong rules, dude. And those are the house rules. Whatever the house rules are in ping pong.
They change. They change. All right, last one. Let's go with something a little more, I guess, realistic, but make the open hand tip, push, throw, take that out of the game.
Like, so beach style has to be
Has to be a knuckle,
Knuckles.
has to be a roll shot, has to have some little level of a arm swing.
just removing open hand tips.
Removing open hand contacts altogether.
My initial impression is I would be on board because I don't like the direction of over control and the, I guess, ambiguity on how to officiate that. In the way of the double, this would be another way to just eliminate the subjective decision right away. So I think I'm on board from that stance.
And I think if you take it away altogether, people are going to stop doing it. So therefore, it's not an ambiguity or a judgment call from the officiating perspective because you're not actually you're still setting and you're taking the judgment away from the activity.
Right.
Now you're taking the activity away completely.
Yes, that's true. Same. But yeah,
Allows more
mull it
swings.
over.
Hopefully, it rewards. I think a good setting and poor setting or poor location. Roll shotting the ball into the court would either create more skill to score, or a more of an advantage for the opposition.
defense. Yeah. To me, it's like that ends up rewarding tough serving a little bit better because your set quality is going to decline and they can't just swipe and change. I think it might adjust how you approach out of system setting. Like Frank said, he's trying to move it tighter to the net. We set tight to the net. That's so we can tool off block and swipe and do different stuff. And if you aren't allowed to do that, maybe it's more advantageous to bring that ball off the net a little bit so we can swing high hands more, or sell that roll shot a little bit differently. How would you go about effective tipping? Like, obviously, I know my sand knuckle, right? We're here and we're doing this type of stuff. Is there an evolution that gets to, like, how is this going to be manipulated, I guess? Because I feel like that's how volleyball works in the rules.
They find a way to do
the thing.
do the thing, right? But I think it's one of those things where it would create a skill that you would have to develop. So then, is that going to be something that can be replicated? Everyone can replicate that, or is it something that an open hand tip? Literally, everyone can open hand tip, right? Again, when to use it, how you do it, how you disguise it. There is a skill set to do those.
I don't know.
things,
That's pretty
scoring on it.
ableist of you, Makani. Like, what if we don't have hands? Just kidding. Just continue. Derailed the whole thing. Love it.
Just having the ability to if you have a skill that you have to learn and develop, I think then you continue to evolve. But I don't know. I just again, from a viewership perspective, taking that out, creating more swings, more aggressiveness.
I don't know, man. I think there's a real art to off-ball defense,
There is.
and the art is me always yelling to play it
Get the tip.
as the artist.
It's true.
I can see it'd be really fun watching kids on tight balls still trying to tool with a swing and just seeing some of the just missiles.
The wall balls.
2 courts over.
I can also see some young kids not be able to control their bodies that well in those situations, and not to be a Debbie Downer here, but landing under the net and causing some injuries, some ankle injuries, and them knowing that they can't tip it, so they have to get there and momentum try and swing it. And
Well, I think part of it too is that, I mean, if you take that out, how many times you see, especially in club, match point, set point, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna tip.
sure,
Take that out, you
You gotta earn it.
you gotta
Yeah.
earn it.
Arm.
yeah. Yeah. No, I love what it does development wise for just being more aggressive and knowing that's part of the game.
I think what you mentioned that I was like, oh yeah, that it's the feet to the ball stuff would have to improve. Like we wouldn't see as many broad jumpy type of kids because they don't have that outlet in the same way. Like you have to be able to get your feet to that tight ball and elevate.
Yep.
So I think that's a benefit to this, like a byproduct of the rule that is a benefit to athlete development. I think that's one of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the things we do in our gym even just said, all right, we're doing this drill. We're gonna do a wash drill, no tips, no open hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone does that in their gym, but I mean, if you think about it, that does change a little bit of the approach. Again, to your point, you have to get your feet to the ball because you have no outlet.
Yeah. No, and we're saying no setting over either with their hands.
Absolutely.
Right? So like no dumping really, unless you're swinging.
Yeah. No. You have to basically, the wrist shot, the wrist.
Yeah. Lefty setters would be a premium.
That's true.
Or
any more than they are now?
You start flipping it.
Or we flip it.
Or you start flipping it.
Where are my lefties at?
Quickly, which is the best one you like so far?
Oh, dude.
Best one. I don't know. They all have their place.
The merit?
Yeah. Well, maybe not all of them. I don't know about moving the 12-foot line. I need to do that. But I think they all offer interesting either strategical advantages to be had or different technical training implications. But they definitely would adjust and affect the game in the same way that the doubles has caused the game to change it as well.
Yeah.
As someone who is now speaking for all of the clubs.
All of clubs.
I probably should not say that trading players is my favorite one. I just love fantasy sports, so that's where the idea stems from. But I think it wasn't really talked about a little bit, but I think moving up the 10-foot line for younger kids would be so exciting and so cool for them to empower them to move around more on the court, you know?
It's definitely more of like a Brazilian style of training where you lower the nets and let young kids take approaches and jumps and swings. I think I'm on board for that.
Me too.
Like realistic change that could happen.
Might even just run a league and do it.
8 foot back row attempts,
like
and then drop it to 7 foot heights.
Like it
already is.
Let the little kids.
The little kids play on a lower net.
Yeah,
right. It's not 7. Is it?
It's
7
foot.
Oh, I thought it was like 7.
Well, I mean, it's 7 foot for 13 to 11, and then below 11, it's 6'6" or something like that.
I say let's go even lower. Like let the little kids get their hands above the net.
That's what. Yeah, I want them to block. I want them to do stuff.
The whole thing going.
Let's really lower that net.
Run the big from like the 5-foot line. That'd be sweet. It'd be so much fun. I'd coach that team.
What it would create just a better understanding of the game flow, and then all you're doing is expanding that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the biomechanics of an approach, jump, and swing, like all of that can get developed so much earlier when you're not trying to hit a thing over a thing that's way up there and it's right here now. Like that just feels different.
And then throw a super point involved in that match. The 12 kids, 12 you kids, let them decide when they're going to use it.
And watch everyone's head explode.
Yeah, they come back on the court just all like jacked, right? Super point.
Love it. All right, well, cool. Well, this was a fun one. We'll have to do this again in a future episode to kind of get the creative juices flowing. But thanks for listening. Check us out on our socials. Triple Blockheads out.
Blockheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Triple Blockheads. Make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss an episode.